He is the one, the only of Sunday Night Football night in America, fresh off of calling the Bills and the Ravens. He is Al Michaels. How are you, Al?
I'm great, Rich. What a weekend, huh?
It was. I mean, Sunday's games were dynamite, and Saturday's games were intense. No question about it. What did you see in the Bills that makes you think? You've seen championship teams before. Do you see one from that one in front of you, Al? What do you think?
I think they have a chance. And to me, going into the game, and Chris and I, we were talking about it, all week long going into it, and felt, the whole thing would be, could the Bills' defense take care of the Ravens' offense? I'll say. You held them to 3 points, no touchdowns. Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator of the Bills, what a plan he came up with. And that won the game for them. And clearly, when it was 10-3, and then you get the interception by Johnson and the 101-yard run back. One of the great things I think about sports, Rich, is that you never know who's going to be the big star, the big hero, come up with the unexpected moment. I mean, up until that point, the greatest and most dramatic interception I ever called was Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl against Seattle. And you wouldn't have thought of Malcolm Butler as the guy who would be the big hero in that game. He was the fifth or sixth defensive back. And in this particular game, who's going to be a big star? Who's going to make the interception at the end of, not at the end of the game, but the game-turning interception? Tre'Davious White? Would it be Jordan Poyer? Would it be Levi Wallace? Would it be Micah Hyde? You would think maybe Tremaine Edmonds. One of those guys would be the guy. But no, out of nowhere comes Taron Johnson to be the big star. Heck of a play, unbelievable interception. And then just, I guess, looking at it on the replay for maybe a split second, he's thinking about going down in the end zone. He's in the end zone. Do you want to come out with it and take a chance? And then that only took about a quarter of a second, and off he went, and nobody was going to catch him.
Well, and the next day on game day morning when I was doing the highlight, we were all getting on Kurt because you called the James Harrison interception as well. In your last game you called with Madden in that Super Bowl. I mean, you've called some long ones.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, the Butler pick, that was it, and he went down immediately, and they ran the game out from the 1 or 2 yard line. The Harrison play may be the most amazing play ever, because when you think about it, it's the end of a long drive for the Cardinals. So the defense has to be a little gassed at that point, and then Kurt throws the pass, and then Harrison picks it off and goes 100 yards right down the sideline. And, of course, the classic shot of Larry Fitzgerald trying to weave his way through the bench.
Right.
Some of his guys are getting in the way. But what people forget about that play, not only 100 yards for the touchdown, and instead of Arizona having the lead, now Pittsburgh's got a 2-possession lead, but he barely gets into the end zone. And as you recall, Rich, if he doesn't, the clock has expired. They can't even kick a field goal. So that, to me, people say, what's the most iconic single play you've seen? That might be it. And then the Santonio Holmes catch, which came, at the end of the game, might be the second most. I mean, we've talked about that 2008 Super Bowl, and to me, that's the classic of classics.
Al Michaels here on the Rich Eisen Show. Talking to Josh Allen and McDaniels, though, with McDermott, Al, it just, again, this is the team. Green Bay, we all know about Green Bay, and Tampa has been obviously down and out, but they do have Brady and Mahomes, and we're assuming he will be healthy enough for the game. I'm talking to Chad Henne in the third hour. The Chiefs are the Chiefs right now. We're all water skiing behind their yacht, but the Bills, they're kind of now the last team standing that's carrying the mantra of the, why not us? It's been too long. They don't know maybe what they don't know type of attitude. What did you glean from talking to Allen and McDermott prior to this game that makes you think that if you will, they could believe in miracles? If you don't mind me using that line.
No, I don't mind using your line. I'm writing this down right now. Okay. Water skiing behind their yacht.
Yes, that's from Wall Street. That's Wall Street. Bud Fox once asked Gordon Gekko, how many yachts can you water ski behind, is what he said in that film. Oh.
I wrote it down. You'll hear it on Sunday night next year.
Fantastic.
It's the quarterback coach combo platter. I mean, that's the key to success very often in the National Football League. You look at obviously with Belichick and Brady being at the forefront of that. But it's almost every year that the quarterback-coach combination is going to lift the Lombardi Trophy. Last year, another case in point. So I think they've got the right combo platter in Buffalo right now. I think Allen's going to be a big star going down the line. He already is almost ascending to that point right now. You got Sean McDermott, who is the pedigree is defense, but the great defensive coordinators know a lot about offense as well. He's got Brian Daboll running the offense, and it looks like now that Daboll is out of the mix for the Charger job, that he might be staying there, so they might be able to keep that coaching situation intact. I think the only thing with Buffalo is, can they get a running game? You've got Devin Singletary, who is a pretty good receiver and not a bad runner, but he's not the guy who's going to give you 20 carries a game and be able to run some clock on you. And the other night we saw what they did. I think they had one run in the first half, and that was a scramble by Allen. So it's hardly a balanced offense, but it became more balanced in the second half. To me, that's the key with these guys. I think offensively they can do it. They just need more balance. Defensively, you couldn't be more impressed than you were the other night. I mean, here come the Ravens scoring like crazy. How do we stop Lamar Jackson? You got a couple of good running backs as well. The receivers have gotten better, through the year. You got Andrews, of course, and then Hollywood Brown. He was coming, into his own in the second half of the season, and yet nothing. Now I know, the weather conditions played a big factor, but I think with Buffalo against Kansas City, again, it reminds me of last week's game. What will that defense do? What will that defense do to stop? You would think Mahomes is obviously going to play, and the potency of the Kansas City offense, we know about that. But what's Leslie Frazier and McDermott going to cook up this week? That to me is the key of the game.
Al Michaels here on the Rich Eisen Show. You're so outstanding at so many broadcasting attributes, Al. But one of your best is to just place things in perspective. It sure looks like Brees is done and getting ready to join you and the rest of everyone else at NBC Sports. That's just based on just his body language and the way that he was just looking around at the end of the game yesterday. Place in perspective where he stands, just in terms of how he got drafted in, and then his change of address, and his physical stature, and then his ultimate football stature. Al, I'll give you the floor on that.
It is, when you look at the body of his career and his work, it's astonishing. And he has to obviously go into the Hall of Fame. First ballot should be unanimous. I can't imagine anybody saying we have to wait a year for Drew Brees to get in there. In addition to the numbers, we know what the numbers are. The numbers are fantastic. But to come into the league as a second-round draft choice with San Diego, and then to be told, okay, you're our quarterback, but we're going to go out and we're going to draft Eli Manning, and then Manning's not going to come. And, of course, Manning is then able to work his way to the Giants, and then Phillip Rivers comes in that deal. So now, Phillip Rivers is going to sit behind you. And then off he goes, and he's got the shoulder problem. And as you recall, I think it was Miami that passed on him. I think he was hoping to go to Miami or wanted to go to Miami.
Yes, in free agency.
Right, and Miami clearly wanted him, but they were worried about him physically, and then New Orleans took the chance. And we know how that worked out. And then you got Katrina on top of it, and the town becomes a mess. And it looks like at one point the league is going to have to move the franchise out of there, and they don't, and they spend a whole year, playing in San Antonio and Baton Rouge and wherever else they could find a place to play as the city got rebuilt, and then to come in and to win a Super Bowl and to do what he's done and to be, such a part of the community. And again, you go back to this old quarterback coach thing. Perfect. You got Sean Payton and you got Drew Brees. So there it is. And again, I guess the knock would be, and we're knocking everything these days, as you know, he only won one Super Bowl. I mean, come on already. So, they can look at it a million ways, too. You go back to the Rams game, they don't make the call on Roby Coleman. What would have happened had they made the call and they'd gone on to win the Super Bowl? You don't know. Nobody seems to know. at this point. But I would say with Brees, you look at not only the numbers, but the quality of the individual. And it's one of the great stories I've seen in the National Football League ever.
And now we've got also, Brady and Rodgers. Good Lord. We'd never seen Brady and Brees in a playoff game. Now it's the first of Brady and Rodgers, which is, I guess, the fruits of Brady moving addresses to the NFC. Unbelievable matchup. How do you see that one playing out, having seen both of these guys this year in 2020?
First of all, I couldn't be more impressed than Aaron Rodgers and what he's done this year. And we all know the story. You go back to draft day, and he's out in Malibu. He's got a house out here. And he's watching the draft, and they're thinking about, you got to get him a receiver, some help on offense. And what do? They pick Jordan Love, the quarterback. And it's so similar, of course, to when, Favre is there, and they pick Aaron Rodgers. And, we had Aaron in the next to last game of the season, Tennessee against Green Bay at Lambeau. And we were talking to him, and he said on our call, he said, I could have let bitterness and negativity seep in. And he did go, as he said, to the pantry and get, I think, 4 hands, I think, is the measurement of tequila. That's what he did that night. So you have all of these things in play. What are they doing? Are they trying to force me out? Do I have to doubt where I am in my career right now? And instead, he took, as he said, he could have gone one way. Instead, he completely goes the other way. Has one of the most fantastic seasons ever. Totally in control. I can't tell you how much respect I have for him. And look, Rich, you know how smart this guy is.
Yes.
This guy could replace Alex Trebek as the host of Jeopardy.
Well, he's attempting to, I think.
Right. He's going to fill in for a week. He was a great contestant on that show. He'll be great on that show. Whatever Aaron decides to do with the rest of his life, he's going to be a major success. But I could not be more impressed with what he's done this year. And for Tom Brady, what a story, obviously. And, you think back, Rich, to there's always this tremendous overreaction on a Monday after the Sunday games.
Yes.
Now, we did the game middle of the season, or I guess it was maybe late November. We go down to Tampa, and we did the New Orleans-Tampa game, and the Saints blew them out. It was 33-3 at the half, whatever it was. The game was over. And Brady didn't look good at all, and everybody said, Tom may be finished, and he and Bruce Arians don't get along.
Right.
What nonsense does that look like right now? Total. So it's great. You couldn't have a better matchup, a more thrilling matchup, a more marquee matchup than we're going to get next Sunday, and I can't wait to see the game, both games, in fact. Yeah, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Me too, no doubt about it. Al Michaels here on the Rich Eisen Show. In the few minutes I have left, I'm going to go omnibus with you here, which means outside of football. I was thinking of calling you on this day, but I think you were getting ready for one of your final games of the year. The passing of Tommy Lasorda. Al, I know you've got some great stories, including how you first met him, right? I think that's from your book, If You Can't Make This Up. I'll give you the floor on your memories of Tommy, and tell that one story about how you met him.
Well, when I was announcing the Hawaii Islanders in the Pacific Coast League, AAA baseball, starting in 1968, and I was there 3 years, our big rival were the Spokane Indians, and they were the Dodger Farm Club and the AAA Farm Club. And because of travel, the Indians would come over twice a year, and they'd spend the entire week there. So I got to know Steve Garvey, Bobby Valentine, Bill Russell, Davey Lopes, Ron Say, that's the team, Bill Buckner. All those guys are playing with the team, and Lasorda's the manager. And then Tommy loves to tell this story. It's a little bit embellished, but very close to the truth. He always has contended he discovered me, because after every game in Hawaii, he would have to call Al Campanis, then the general manager of the Dodgers, and report in on how all of the guys had done. Garvey did this, Buckner did this, Lopes did this, et cetera, et cetera. So one night he tells Campanis, he said, hey, Al, he said, I know you got Vin Scully, and Vinny's great and everything. There's a guy over here, though. There's a young guy doing these games on the radio. This guy is really terrific. Al Michaels is his name. You should keep an eye on him. So Campanis doesn't say anything, at first, and then at the end of the conversation, according to Tommy, Campana says, "Hey, Tommy, this kid you're talking about, this Michaels guy, how do you know he's any good?" And Tommy says, "I've been thrown out of the last 4 games. I'm out in the clubhouse listening to him." so what had happened was Lasorda, one night he gets thrown out in the 3rd inning of a game. Now, in Hawaii, the clubhouse wasn't behind the dugout. You'd have to walk all the way out through center field, 425 feet, get serenaded by the fans, and then another 100 feet to a ramshackle clubhouse. You could not sneak back in. Truly, you'd have to listen to the radio. So that's the 3rd inning. So I know he's listening to me for 7 innings one night. The next night, he's so angry, he comes out, he gives the lineup card to the umpires. He gets thrown out with the lineup card. And irony of ironies, you know who the umpire at home plate that night was? Bruce Fleming, who would go on to have the longest umpiring career in Major League history.
Amazing.
He would go to the majors. So this is crazy stuff. He gets thrown out again. Now he's listening to me the whole game. The next game he did last. He lasted the game, and then the following game he got thrown out in like the 6th or 7th inning. So Tommy truly was able to hear me do, probably 20 innings of baseball. And so he always loved to tell that story. And, of course, I love the fact that Tommy was such a big part of my life. He was just a wonderful man on so many levels, so many.
And just, an ambassador, a character, and a damn good manager, Hall of Fame manager, former teammate of Jackie Robinson's with the Brooklyn Dodgers, like a true Dodger through and through, Al.
Yeah.
And so he says basically that's how you got your first major league broadcasting gig, that you got passed along to the Giants?
I wound up going to Cincinnati, of course, one of the Dodgers' great rivals.
Right.
He goes as a coach under Walt Alston with the Dodgers. So Tommy and I went all the way back. And in fact, when I got a nice honor about 6 or 7 years ago, I had Tommy come up and present it for me. So and I'll tell you another thing too. He was in the hospital, and I got the Ford Frick Award recently, which was totally surprising and shocking and wonderful for me. And he called me. His caretaker called me and said, "Can you talk to Tommy?" I said, "Of course." This was about a month ago. He did not sound well, but it was unbelievable to hear from Tommy Lasorda, and I was so happy when I heard that he was out of the hospital, but clearly he had been taken home to die at home. And one of a kind. What a wonderful, wonderful man.
You're the best, Al. Thanks for the call. Let's stay in touch. Let's go have a good round or two, if you will.
At least maybe 10 or 12. Right?
Let's do it, Al. You're the best. Thanks for the call.
Take care.
You got it. That's Al Michaels, everybody. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.